All right, I'm just doing a quick walkthrough video of lesson 13. That's the project, and I've got a helper on the line. Thank you for helping me out, Sarah. And we're just gonna work our way through, and I may or may not use this to help other students, but nonetheless. Oh, don't forget to submit your links as well as that activity guide. All right, that's important. All right, thanks everybody. Bye. Okay, intro over. So we're on step 4 already. The beginning is super fast. And there's one of those sprites. We want to be able to understand what's going on here. Anyway, so the first part is backgrounds. That really matters. Lesson 4, or step 4, I should say. And there's 2 ways to do backgrounds. You can do the background just literally as a background color, and then change it to something like light blue. And when I do that, it makes it blue. I could even add rectangles and make my own little bit of grass or something by adding the fill color and the rectangle. So right now it looks like this, but if I change the position, I want it a little lower down. So let's say 250, and we want it starting at 0. So that puts it in the corner, right? And then I want it to go all the way across. So I'm gonna change the X value to be something like 450. And remember, it only shows 400. Now, if you really want to be picky, see how there's an outline? There's 2 ways you could do that. You could say no stroke, and then you'll see there's no outline anymore. So that's probably the fastest way to do a basic background. And of course, if you don't have yellow grass, you might want green grass. And so you could do it that way. And now I've got my background on which everything else can be drawn. That's way number 1, which, to be honest, is a little more intuitive, but it's actually not as useful as the second way. Have you made something yet there, Sarah? Nice. Perfect. Now, this is option 1. Let me explain option 2 before you decide, though, because it's really fast. But some people get a little confused by it because it involves some sprites. So let's pretend for a minute that I didn't do this. So I'm just gonna comment all of these out with the little // It probably doesn't matter, but I'm just gonna get them out of the way. So those are now comments. And if I run it again, my backgrounds are gone. But I'm gonna use sprites this time because there's a whole bunch of pre-made backgrounds that'll save you so much time. So I'm gonna go to the sprites toolbar, and I'm gonna go variable sprite, and that just sets it up. I gotta give it a name. I'm gonna go with background, yeah. And I'm gonna set, it doesn't actually matter where I set that. And now the last thing is when you're dealing with sprites, you have to tell it to draw the background. So that's draw sprites, and that's under the toolbox world. All right, I'm gonna draw sprites right there. And then you see a gray box. That means there's a sprite there, but I haven't put anything into that sprite yet. So I'm now gonna set that animation. That's this one. Oh, what's up? Oh, that's... Yeah, that happens a lot. If you screen share, I could probably tell what's wrong. If you want to just show me the code. While I'm doing this though, when you make your background variable, you also have to create your background sprite, right? So in this case, that's set sprite animation, and I have to change the name to be the same. All right, let's see what's gone wrong with the code for yours. I can, just give me 1 second. There we go. All right, let's see. I see the background. Oh, okay. Yeah, you need to set the sprite, exactly. So grab sprite set animation, and then make sure your background, your sprite is named background. There you go. Now we're gonna go to the other tab up on the top left, which is animation tab. And there's nothing here right now. Oh, sorry, back to the lesson. There you go. And I'll just move my face. It's right there. There you go. And now click on the plus sign, and you'll have a bunch of options. And you'll notice one of them right there is backgrounds. That'll be your sprite later, absolutely. But right now we're just gonna make a background out of a sprite. So we're gonna have sprites as background and sprites as foreground. This is the second way to do that. So when I click on backgrounds, which was that first one, not the first one, sorry, this one right there. Now there's a ton of different, oh no. Oh, Safari, yeah. Sure, although it is helpful, I'm able to help you a bit quicker. So this is the Sprite Library for backgrounds, and I could just pick one of these. So remember we wanted a field? So there's a field right there. And that is now the field, right? And so it's called Farmland. If I want to rename it, I could rename it. But now I'll go back to the code tab. And again, I'll go up to the top. I'll go back to code. If I want to, I could rename it here just to help keep track of things. But if I know what it is, that's fine. I'll go back to the code tab. And now, let me just move my face, too many tabs. This drop-down menu right here is what I need to tell it. So it's create the variable, set the animation, and tell it which one to use. And that drop-down menu, that little arrow, should now give me all the sprites I have populated on my animation tab. So now I'll select that, and I make sure that I put draw sprites after that. Now I'll click run. Right? Absolutely, go for it. That would make sense. Or, alternatively, you could have used that first version as well. Either one is totally fine. And technically, you could combine them. Oh, you know what? There is an error doing it this way. I have background and background, so those are causing confusion. So I'll often just rename it. Instead of background, I'll just put BG for background, right? That way it doesn't get confused thinking background. So BG set animation, that might be a way to solve some trouble. Naming things is most of coding. Most coding issues is naming. So whatever it is you want for your background, set that up, and then click Finish, because this is just the background part. The next one, I'm just giving you a sneak preview. The next one is where we're actually going to pick those foreground objects, things like you mentioned soccer ball, right? So just make sure you're onto lesson 5, and then you can start putting other things in front of that, and that's going to use the draw loop function. Yeah, just rename background to just BG. That's probably going to save you a lot of time. But it could be anything. Yeah, it could be field or whatever, but there you go. Nice. Exactly. So now we're into lesson 5. Now it gets minorly complicated, but it's not too bad. You can keep sharing the screen if you want. It helps me know what's going on. But what I'm going to recommend is leave it on show blocks, and I'm just going to scoot back out of the way so you can kind of see. Do the draw function, which is this green one. If you're looking for this, it's under the world toolbox and the draw loop function. So I'm going to drag that down, and I'm going to put it here. And so generally speaking, how I run this is I'll make all my sprites beforehand, and then I'll only draw sprites within my draw loop. Okay? So that's going to be kind of the last piece of my draw loop. It's exactly. Now that hasn't done anything yet, but what that means is when the code runs, it'll just draw the background over and over and over again. If I wanted to, sometimes, because order matters, sometimes it's not a bad idea to have like a sprite property drawn in there. But I'll show you what I mean in a second. Let's make another sprite first. So a variable sprite. I often do this outside of the draw loop because you don't have to make it again and again. Just have it drawn once, populated once. And I'll drag in that set animation tab as well. Name it whatever you want. Let's go. Sure, let's call it soccer ball is going to be the name of our variable, and that also means it has to be the name of our set animation. Exactly. No spaces, no starting with numbers. All right, so now that I've got that set, I'm gonna go over to my animation tab again. Now, once I'm here, I need to make a new sprite. And so let's go in there. And you can search this, by the way. So if you wanted to just put in soccer, you can actually find it really fast. Oh, you're really close. Hold on. Yeah, and that works. But just watch the order. So you're getting ahead of me. That's okay. I'll do mine in the green one, soccer ball 1. Now I'll go back to my code tab and I'll grab the drop down animation and I'll set that as soccer ball 1. Now when I click go, because it's got the draw loop, it'll draw first that one, then this one. It should, right? Technically, I believe so. You can give it a test and see. Now, here's where it gets a little bit weird and sometimes isn't always the same. Let's say we don't want the soccer ball to take up the whole size. So now we need to start manipulating the sprite properties. So it's on the sprite tab. Yep. Right. So, well, we'll get back to that in just a sec. I'll show you what I mean. So sometimes the order within this draw animation gets a little messed up. So it's almost like you have to remind it to do something to draw. So what I like to do is take a sprite property, which is on the sprite tabs, and there's a whole bunch of properties. So let's say that soccer ball is too big. So I'm gonna take scale, where it says sprite scale, and I'm gonna have it do that inside the draw loop. I could do this outside the draw loop too, but now I'm gonna take the soccer ball and I want it to be like 1/10 of the size, right? So I'm gonna go 0.1, okay? Then when I click reset, it should shrink that soccer ball. See what that is? Let me see. Oh, your draw loop is gone. Oh no, it reset for some reason. That's okay. There you go. And then grab any of the sprite properties and put it inside the draw loop. I recommend the scale one. And usually it should go above the draw sprites, I think. And yeah, you have to watch the name. Oh, weird. Oh yeah, it dropped into the wrong spot. Yeah, just drag that whole thing right out of there. Yeah, that's better. That's okay. That's what you wanted. So now just type in the name of your sprite. And set the size. Yeah, I set it as 0.1, but you can set it whatever you need to. And I often put draw loops at the end. I don't think it really matters. Just give it a test run and see how it goes. There you go. So now I can do other properties and have it move around. I could also set my sprite at a different location, but I can actually even easier use these like sprite Y and sprite X. I can use those to set where the sprite will start. For example, if I drag sprite X over here, I can have it start at 10. And now I hit reset. Oh, something went wrong on mine. Oh, because I didn't name it. That's why. I usually do that within the draw loop because then you can easily affect where it goes, right? So now my soccer ball's over to the side, and I want my sprite Y to also. Sorry, I gotta get rid of that debug console. Sprite Y, and I'll put soccer ball. There is code you can do it. I'm gonna set it slightly lower. See how it's kind of off the grass? So I want it about maybe 280. I'll give that a try. There, now it looks like my soccer ball is sitting on the grass. I could make it lower or higher based on the X and Y values. Now, now you can do this as many times as you want with as many sprites as you want. You could have a person running after the ball, might be part of your plan, whatever it is, right? So you can make as many sprites as you want here and get their basic position. You can also set the stuff we just did, the X and Y of soccer ball. I could have set them back here. Whoop, a little bit. So right here, when I first populated that sprite, I could have told it X10, Y280, and it would have made that sprite in the corner the first time. So you don't have to do it by sprite properties. You could also put it here. There's multiple ways. All right. Not quite. We're gonna get down to movement in just a second, but guess what? Let's say this is all the sprites I need, but maybe you want to have like others. You can go back and add as many as you want. I think for now that you know how to populate a sprite and put an animated tab sprite in there, you can make as many as you want. Next, I'm gonna hit next, and I'll finish that lesson. Now it's gonna lead me to text. I'm not great at text. I'm gonna be the first to admit that. Adding text to this, like a card or something, I just go down here to where it says text, and I hover over it, and then I go see examples. If you scroll up, there you go. Yeah, and I often just go see examples. And you can modify all of these, but honestly, I just take this one. I just grab this, grab all of that code, select it all, copy this part right here. And then, yeah, that's the first Ada Lovelace, was one of the first programmers. I copy that whole thing, and then I just drop it I go over here to show text. And then I go into my draw loop right here. And either before or after draw sprites, I paste that right there. And it looks like a lot to begin with, but if you go back to show blocks and then run, now there's text on the screen, it's already got color, and now I can just go through and change it. No problem. So now I just change it. I'll make its size smaller, like maybe 30 instead of 60. I can change the font if I want. Now, if you want any of these individual properties, you could technically go through and hover over them. They should be able to do it. You can change what the actual message is. Maybe something like, yep. So in the text actual font, you can change it up, right? And now mine says, keep kicking it, right? Or whatever, right? So some kind of soccer related. I may have to mess around with the positions of the text, like the X and the Y are the first ones. So let's say I'm gonna put it at 100 Y. There we go. Keep kicking it is now in the middle of my scene. And then the soccer ball will go by, something like that, right? You can steal this, yeah. Right? Oh, and the outline, changing the size of the fill, all that'll definitely change. You can mess around with these, but that's how I shortcut the text. And when you're done that, or even now, you can come back and edit that. Click finish, and then you move the second last step, which is moving. Now this is the trickier part, so I'll wait till you're ready. All right. So the idea is we want these, especially the soccer ball X position, to be changing every time it's moving, right? I could also have it randomly move around, like, and all of this, and this is why I put these X and Y values in early, is now manipulating those can actually be pretty straightforward. So I go into my sprites, and I go and, actually, there's two ways. The random movement, I go into math, there's my random number. So I'm gonna say, well, first thing I wanna do is have, every time it does the draw loop, I want it to start where the ball used to be. So how I do that is I take sprite X is equal to sprite X. Did you see what I just did? So I drag it and I put it into where it's equal and I change the name. Exactly. And then I change the name. So it's the same. So what that means is draw the soccer ball at Sprite X every time. And if I click run, mine was as most errors in coding, I did a typo. Let me try that again. There we go. So it's just gonna keep drawing that Sprite X ball in that X spot. Now, here's the trick. You want it moving across, right? Okay, because whatever you set this when you first populate your sprite, its starting position, that's going to be where it starts the Sprite X. So that happens to be where it's preset to Sprite X, and it's going to keep drawing it there. But that's okay, because we're just going to add a little bit of math to this. Now, the fastest and easiest way to do this, so don't worry about that right now, but you've got soccer ball X is equal to soccer ball X. I go to my show text over here. And now I look where it says that soccer ball X is equal to soccer ball X. And I just go in here and I type plus something. I'm gonna go +2, right? Now I can go back to show blocks. There is a code block way to do this as well, but I find this the easiest. So now it's soccer ball X position is where soccer ball X position was, and add 2. 1 or 2. You can add as many, and each time it draws, it'll be 2 over from where it was. So now I'm gonna give it a quick test. Now the soccer ball is moving across the screen. Exactly, and then it'll have to keep. Next up, you can do other cool stuff. Like if you scroll down, you'll see there's the rotation, right? If you want it to rotate, you can say soccer ball rotation is equal to the previous rotation, which is soccer ball rotation. Oh, I misspelled soccer ball again. I don't know why I keep spelling it wrong. Yeah, probably. And then I do the trick. So I'm doing the same thing on mine with soccer ball rotation, but this time I'm same thing I did with the X position. Now I'm just changing the rotation, and I'm gonna add +10 and just see what that does. Right? Exactly. So now you can mess around with this. You can change any of the properties, and using this draw equals the previous one and then add or subtract, you can change its location, you can change its size, you can change all kinds of stuff. Good question. There's 2 ways. You could go and change its original location where you first populate soccer ball, right here where it says create sprite. You could change those numbers, or what you could do is tell the program to put it at a particular spot, which is literally just telling it, put the soccer ball at a particular location. Okay? I'd even do it before the draw loop, otherwise it'll keep putting it back there. So before the draw loop, yeah. And then you could, it just disappeared. Oh, there. Actually, to be honest, drag it off to the side, and I'll show you what I mean. Just get rid of that one. Did it disappear? No, it's in there. Oh, so drag it over top of this section, and it should go away. Yep, that's okay. Just set your sprite again. You just have to get your set sprite back in there. There you go. Okay, so now under the sprite's starting location, where it says create sprite, SB create sprite. It's okay. Yeah, that happens a lot with coding. All right. So if you go back up to your SB, soccer ball, or in my case, soccer ball, set animation, where you first make it and it says create sprite, you could designate a starting location right there. Yeah. That's your background though. Do the one, SB. Yeah, that one. So in my case, sure. And then when you click go, there you go. So then all you need to do is add that rotation. Rotation is equal to rotation plus something. And then you can have the ball rolling by. Yeah. I mean, if you want to have a person chasing it, just the trick is, if you don't want them to all be at the same time, set your starting location off the screen. So like -100, right? And you could have a person running past it. So, for example, where's a person? Yeah, SB, what is wrong there? Syntax error. Oh, maybe when you were deleting stuff, something got a little funny. You can always use version history and go back. There you go. So let's say I want to have somebody chasing this, or a bird fly by or something. I just choose. Oh, too far. Okay, go to version history again. Go to version history again and you'll be able to set it. Check the time and go for the most recent time to now. Uh-oh. Okay, that's pretty good. So while you're doing that, I'm just making another sprite, which will be this kid. I'm gonna just call it kid to save time. Kid 1, and I can then have another one. I could add some stuff to this. If you wanted to take it up a notch, you could remix this, and it gives you access to other tools that aren't here. So for example, if you click, if you're still working, keep working. But you can click, when you're done, you're happy with it, you can click remix, and it'll open up a whole other tool set. So I'll click remix, and it takes this exact code and all those animations, and it brings it here, and you can see there's a lot more options. So I could have it play some words, play some other stuff. I can have other controls, but the one I wanted to do is go back to animation. Where's that? And I wanted to make this kid, right? But here's the benefit of going to remix. Let me just move my face. It's here somewhere. There. Oh, that's not it. There. So you'll notice if I remix, I have this animation option. So you can even animate within the sprite. So I've got this girl that I want to have chasing the soccer ball. Or maybe I'll keep it simple for now. But if you're a good artist, you can actually, whoop, no, that's not what I wanted. I'm gonna duplicate the slide, right? So I'm just gonna make her blink. For now, I'll just, yeah, you could have her legs slightly different, and it really only takes like 2 or 3. But I'm just gonna show you the idea of it by making her blink. So somewhere in here, I'm gonna go to my slide and I'll pick the color and pick the color of her face, do my pen tool, and I'm just gonna literally draw over her eyes with the same color. Yeah, like, I'll just make it look like her eyes disappear for a second and then come back. And usually when it comes to something like this, a quick single slide where they're gone, and you can see the animation happening right over here, right? So, and you can set the time so you can speed it up like that, right? So now this automatically loops itself. And so when I go back to code, I have to bring in this one here. So I've got to populate it. Now this is only available under remix. So I would do this as the very last step, any of this kind of animation. So I need to make this, the girl, I'm gonna call it kid. and I'll put her on the grass. That was an issue before, so let's have her be at 280, and maybe 50. And then I need to set it, and also make sure the name is kid. And then I grab the drop-down menu, and I'll select kid. Then it'll draw her. Now I'll probably need to change her size as well, the scale. So I can do that outside of the draw loop as well. And I'll make her, let's go with 0.25 to start with, and we'll just see what that does. There, now I've got a kid, right? And she's just gonna sit there and keep blinking, right? That's all I've got right now. But you can imagine if I wanted to, if I had an animation where her legs are moving, and I add in some of these moving sprite properties like x equals x plus something, you would then see her walking by. And this is exactly how I made my little, where is he? My little animated guy who's about to go past on the screen. I just have him animated, and his position is changing, and he's got rotation changing, right? So you can play around with this and kind of come up with your own ideas. And a very simple card is totally fine. If you can make something like what's up on the screen right now, that is awesome. Right? That's even above and beyond, because we've got a couple of other properties here. You might want to add some randomness in. I don't know what that might look like, but you can mess around with this. Hopefully this gives you a chance to get started. Yeah, that looks great. The soccer ball going by. Honestly, because this is the first time most people are coding, that's gonna get you like a 6. Yeah, you've got add in something about random motion, and you're off to the races. Now, if you really want to take it up a notch, you could keep going. Do lesson 14. You're ready for it now, where they talk about if-then statements, which is under Control tab. So you can mess around with these if you feel like it. That's lesson 14. But everything, all the basics are there for having made yourself a little animated card. Well, at the very end, click and finish. You can either click share up at the top, and especially if you've remixed it, that's really the only way, and that's the share button. So you'd have to share it with me if you've chosen to remix. If it's within the project itself, you can just click the finish button right up until the end where it's 0.8 or whatever, and then you can just say done. But please share it to me regardless, because I find it's a lot easier to find the link. All right, so I hope this is helpful, and if you have any other questions, let me know, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great lunch. No problem. Thanks. All right, special thanks to Sarah for helping me out. I hope that helped you. If you have any questions, let me know. Play around with this. There's some really fun coding here. I'm just gonna change mine one last little bit, is if the soccer ball gets to a certain location, then I want it to, I want the girl to run the other way. I'm just gonna show that as a possible example. So if soccer ball, I keep misspelling that. If soccer ball X is greater than or equal to 600. Now that's off the screen, right? The soccer ball keeps going. If it's equal to or greater than 600, then something else will happen. I'm going to say set, I'll go back to block so you can see. This is just a basic if-then statement. Set X velocity, and this is going to be kid. Velocity will be plus, X velocity would be plus 10. I don't know if that's going to work, but let's see. Soccer ball goes by. It's going to take its time. Okay, this may or may not work. I probably should have set that a little faster. It's going to take a little while for that. There, you see it? So once that soccer ball got to a certain position, I'm using that soccer ball movement like a timer. So I can then, if it's equal to or greater than 600, then the kid's velocity for the sprite X gets set to 10, and then she goes off the screen. I could also do other things like make it not visible, so it just disappears when it gets to that point. I could have it change to a different sprite at that point. So I could say, I could make kid X not visible instead. Let's do that. Kid X visible equals false, right? So instead of the kid moving, it's now not going to be visible, and I can drag the old one out of there. And I'll click reset. Oh no, we gotta wait for that soccer ball to go. Soccer ball is going. Once that thing rolls to this preset if-then statement, all of a sudden, the kid disappears, right? Because I've made the sprite invisible. Combine that with make a new sprite, right? Maybe it's one where her legs are moving. Then it'll just change her from the one that's sitting there blinking to the one that's actually running, right? And so you can see her run out of there. So you can play around with simple if-then type statements and processing to actually have this thing animate the way you want. Also, you could do other things within this if-then statement. For example, I could have a new background. I could have it draw a new rectangle in front, right? I could have the kid, rather than the kid disappearing. That was kind of fun, but let's say I'm gonna make a new rectangle, and I'm gonna make this a let's do light blue rectangle just so you can see it. And I'm gonna speed up that soccer ball for now because I want it to get faster. So I'm gonna do +10 on the soccer ball just to speed up the timing. I'll slow that back down later. Run, there's the ball goes, and then once it gets to 600, oh, nothing happened. Weird. That should happen. Aw, I guess that didn't work. Okay, well, best laid plans, right? Light blue, rectangle. Oh, you know why? Because order matters. Order really matters. So it drew it, but it drew the draw sprites after. So I'm gonna drag this way up to the top. So it'll draw the sprites, and then if this happens, it'll put it on top. Let's try it again, because order does matter. Soccer ball goes, boom, rectangle appears. Now the benefit of this is I could drag this whole if-then statement below everything, right? And I could make that rectangle real big, right? So maybe it's 450 and 450. And now when I click it, run, and it's way at the bottom. So once that soccer ball goes, boom, it's now gonna draw that rectangle. I put it in the wrong spot though. So I'm gonna make it at -10 just to get that border out of there and keep it at 200. Yeah, I think that's right. So soccer ball goes. Oh, rectangle gets drawn. I could cover half the screen. Or if I set Y to 0. There we go. Now it'll cover the whole thing. Oh, almost. Y to -10. Or I could just set it as no stroke. That's probably easier. No stroke for that rectangle. We'll just make that little red line disappear. So now soccer ball goes. Boom, you got your new scene. If you wanted to, you could even add a different message or a different sprite within this. Remember that you want to draw it underneath the rectangle so that it draws it on top of the rectangle. But I could have another sprite appear. Maybe it's waving. Maybe it's just a soccer ball bouncing. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make a soccer ball just bounce, just like this. Soccer, SB2, right? Soccer ball 2, middle of the screen. Set the animation, SB2, and it's gonna use the exact same one as before, that soccer ball. And I'm gonna make it a little smaller because it was huge, right? SB2, and I'm gonna make it about half, 0.5. And this time I'm just gonna have it rotation. Okay, now here's where I'm starting to affect its actual properties. So I wanna make sure that I actually put them within the draw loop. Let's do rotation. SB2 rotation is equal to SB2 2 rotation, and I'll do show text, plus 10 again, right? There we go. And I could also add some random movement here, right? So I'm gonna go with the Y, SB to Y is gonna be random. Now I'm gonna start where it originally was, which was 200 by 200. And it's gonna just be random number in there. This is for the Y location, so it was at 200, so I'm gonna do 180, and I'll go all the way up to 220, and you'll see it bounces up and down a little bit. All right, that's my prediction. Let's see if it worked. Oh, we don't want that. It was in the way. Boo. All right, I guess because we put that scale above. Let's put it within here. Maybe that'll do it? Nope, that's not it. So I guess we have to set that animation inside here. Let's see if that works. Nope, almost. I guess we'll have to populate the whole thing within that. Again, just trying to mess it around with the order. There we go. Oh, now it's not showing anything. Oh, because I have to draw sprites again. I don't know if this will work. Almost worked. I don't know how to make it all disappear, but you can see the random dancing soccer ball. I'm gonna keep messing around with this. It's not gonna be quite what I want, but that's okay. You just keep trying, see what's possible. Certainly you could have a second title page, maybe copy another thing of text, drop it there for the if-then statement. So then you could say like, have a nice day. That might be a little easier, so I'm gonna do that. Just real fast. Copy. Paste, and it just a reminder, it does have to be below the rectangle inside the if-then statement. So there's my rectangle, everything else is below, and I'm gonna change the message to have a great day, and then I'll give it a try. Soccer ball goes, have a great day. There we go. So I hope you have a great day. I hope this was helpful. The basics or the more advanced, whatever you want, just remember, you keep going with it, and eventually you'll figure something out. All right, cheers. Oh, don't forget to submit your links as well as that activity guide. All right, that's important. All right, thanks everybody. Bye.